That's right. Let's forget about it. So, I saved my husband from the first heart attack. I diagnosed my husband with tuberculosis or guided my doctors, my husband doctor, and they done well. Okay, the team was fantastic, beautiful people, and nothing of the sort what you see in satire and all that. And they didn't want to kill my husband. They wanted to revive my husband, keep my husband alive. Whatever handler did is due to his boasting. The large number of Jews boast a lot. And he was not a killer, but he made a genuine mistake. What he did was wrong to follow me about in the Saint Mary. Now, for some reason, he was got rid of from Northwick Park and he works in churches. I didn't want him to get dismissal because he's not that bad. Because he was very nice. My husband always said, always look for a good point in a person, not always bad point, So, and trying to defend a man who never did any mistake. So, those two illnesses written by Dr. Dedi are like that, okay? And he says, subsequent angiogram. The way he writes is like to bluff somebody. He shouldn't do that. He should write, first heart attack was saved due to me. Then he said, angiogram was done due to me. He doesn't want to do that. The handler never wanted to do it. He refused to do it. He refused to do angioplasty or angiogram. Angiogram had to be done before plasty. In the process, Dr. Raftery died, and in the process, we left to go to St. Mary. He followed us to St. Mary. Then he said, pacemaker inserted in 1994. This DD is worse than a clerical assistant who is newly taken. Pacemaker insertion, he should say, is misguiding all of you. He should say first heart attack in 92, second heart attack in 93, when Indian doctors in India gave pacemaker in 94. Okay, that's how he should write. Right? The style of writing is making a fool of Solicitor Bowman also and barrister also. Because I have written so much literature, is not reading, is disregarding it to bluff Indian. And that means the barrister will be bluffed also, because you have to feed the right information to the barrister. So, correct your record state. 1992 August first heart attack. Dr. Handler did negligence. He did not do angiogram. So, as a result, Mr. Dudley had a new heart attack in India, and before Christmas in 1993, and the pacemaker was given to him in 1994 in January. Yeah, and after pacemaker, we flied out of India. We came back in England, and we asked handler to give angiogram. He said, I'm not going to do it. He was cross with me. Then we have to change handler. We went to St. Mary, where angiogram was done in 1994 by Dr. Davis in St. Mary. So these three lines are written dodgy by medical expert who think he's expert, but he can't even write. Writing method is wrong. Okay, pacemaker should be before angiogram is written. Angiogram was taken in England in the something like middle of 94, but pacemaker was inserted in India in January 94. So his writing method is wrong. So it's misguiding you. Okay, three things are sorted out. Okay, then come diagnosis. I have to tell you, TB was diagnosed by me because I forced doctors to don't throw the X-ray shadow, go for a sputum test, go for gastric washing, and diagnose TB, which doctor told me they dumped the the gastric washing, and they started giving TB drugs. And I said to Dr. Anand, do you know, if my husband did not have TB, it's going to damage his liver? He said, no, no, no. He have TB. He is observing TB drugs. We are keeping a close eye on liver profile. He is doing well. So you were right. He had TB, and now, and I said, now he will get well in 9 days. He said, how do you know? I said, I got well in 9 days. With my own TB, when TB drugs were given to me by Dr. H. Elliot Larson in 1980. And my sore to touch joint, fever, glands in the neck, all the problem linked with TB from 67 to 1980, they were all gone in 9 days. And my husband will get well in 9 days also. And his loss of memory will come back. And I fed my husband. I crushed all the tablets. I made a syrup and gave it to him so that TB goes in, and germ TB drug goes in, and the germs are controlled. The hospital were not going to do anything. Nurses said, we are not going to do it. That's called as assault. I said, without assault he will die. I said, you got to force feed him. We are not going to do it. I said, back home in India, we make a hole in the stomach and put the food in the tummy. So patients have no choice but to eat. But the doctors don't kill in India. And if the patient die, the doctors have to do answering. So those 3 points are gone there. Acute myocardial infarction, 92. Subsequent angiography, which is wrong. He should have a subsequent heart attack in 93, and followed by pacemaker in 1904, followed by coming in England and having angiogram done in 94, followed by angioplasty, he should say, but he didn't. Okay. Then he said, diagnosis of panhypopituitarism, maybe something to do with pituitary gland. That was pituitary gland was already damaged by the tuberculosis encounter with TB, all due to the fault of the doctor. And when his TB was diagnosed in 1992, the TB consultant, I think it was Amy or something, I forgot, but something like that, he should have looked into my husband's adrenal glands, why sodium, potassium going low, but he didn't. Okay, so another mistake they did about adrenal gland in 1992, when TB drugs were given for months, but stopped, but nothing was done about adrenal gland to keep an eye that it keep on working, plus additional help in the form of hydrocortisone should have been given, so that my husband had proper function of his own adrenal gland plus little bit support from hydrocortisone. But they murdered my husband's adrenal gland. By 1999, a whole of 1998, my husband had spent going to doctor, bashing his head with brick wall, and come after 3 months, come after 2 months. My husband's GP was no good. Bernstein, he knows nothing about medicine. And now he resigned and joined as medical ethics. He ill-treated my husband, he ill-treated me, and now he's in ethics, and he got to know ethics of his own. I know all about him. And hospital consultant, they were feeding my husband to death also. Whole 1 year was gone and nothing was diagnosed. And my husband was so weak, he was now again 6 stone. In 1992, my husband was 6 stone. Now again, I worked very hard to make him fat, to put on weight, and he was looking handsome. And he is like a baby, at my, and now again he was dying. His weight was 6 stone. He was coming up the stair, and he had said, I got only last 1 ounce of energy left in me. The way my hubby said it. Because my hubby doesn't talk about his... he never tell any problem. Even when I went to see Dr. Mabi, in a Royal Brampton. He will pass his urine in the toilet, and I kept on telling him, you will fall down, you're too weak. Pass the urine in the, every man is passing the urine in the, that provided container. You should do it. No, my husband doesn't give work to anybody. He's a perfect gentleman of that type. You can't find them such a gentleman. So what happened? But excuse me. My husband came and he started undressing. I looked at his body, emaciated body, and I hate me. If I am a pet, eating, and he's a emaciated, people will say, what kind of woman he has? Does she cook for him? Does she ill-treat him? And nearly cried, and I could count his bones from the backside, skin off the bumps, I said to my husband, tomorrow, as soon as I get up, I'm going to get my book out and read from first page to the end until I get to those symptoms you have. And I have a vague feeling I have read your symptoms somewhere. And my husband said, read under tuberculosis, So I'm in the morning. First of all, I looked under vitamin, because vitamin deficiency can do plenty of things. Mine was vitamin beriberi, B1 deficiency. So I went to the TB section and I kept on reading. Then I reached adrenal glands. Tuberculosis can damage adrenal glands, can also some certain metals, contaminated metals can damage adrenal glands. So my husband had TB, so I don't have to look into metals, so that is. And then what I read it, sodium, potassium, mean alkalides, and they get damaged due to tuberculosis. Okay, so my husband's adrenal was damaged in 92. That's why he was losing lot of sodium, potassium, and doctors were keeping an eye on it, but they didn't know. The TB doctor didn't know adrenal gland can be damaged by TB. Okay, so if he had known it, that's called as now I know it. Why didn't he do diagnosis of adrenal gland there? So why did he leave the thing undone? Why didn't he provide hydrocortisone there and then? Okay, now I'm going to tell you another thing. When septicemia is given, it's a blood infection. Therefore, it also attacks the adrenal gland and the alkalides, so presence of sodium and potassium. Therefore, the 20 milligram given to Mr. Dudley is not normal. It should be 30 for a normal man. But for Mr. Dudley, he needed 100 gram or maybe 150 milligram. So Mr. Dudley was not given more doses of hydrocortisone in the light of the fact sodium and potassium was very low, and that was the part of Dr. Setia, and he is not going to do it because he wants my husband to be dead. Okay, so I've sorted that problem. So all these four things are written wrongly and not enough. Then come hypertension in 2001. Okay, so the hypertension means high blood pressure. So then come diabetes in 2002. I am not very sure of the diabetes 2002, but I'm going to tell you this diabetes was given by the same criminal gang who killed my husband by giving him septicemia and bronchopneumonia. I'm going to tell you how. I do have a possession of the page from Daily Telegraph. There was an article based on dementia. It is stated, if you have any form of dementia, these are statin drugs. Statin drugs are very good. It can get rid of dementia. And I took this to GP, Dr. Ross employed other GP, and this one was Asian, I think from Sri Lanka. and I told him it is stated here, statin drugs are very good, and but he gave the statin drugs. I read and I took the information, but he don't have to do it. He should have said, Mrs. Dudley, I can't give statin because the statin will collide or react chemically, enter into chemical reaction with the water tablet Mr. Dudley had. Cyprofibrate, I think. It's a pink tablet, it's a water tablet. Water tablet is also for hypertension also, and he should have not given, but he gave. So when he gave, Mr. Hooper gang, this criminal gang, they must have already done research how to create diabetes in a normal fit Mr. Dudley. So Mr. Dudley, within a 24 hour, maybe one day, he got this diabetes. How I know it? Mr. Dudley said, oh, bring water. I said, you had the water. Again, give the water. Oh, can you give me the water? I gave the water. I said, that's very strange. Then Mr. Dudley want to pass the water, and then he filled his tummy up with the water, and he come back and tell me, what a relief. I had filled my tummy up with cold water, and I looked at it. I said, that is not a normal symptom, and I quickly got my book out, increased search. I looked, and I found out Mr. Dudley suffering from diabetes. And I took my husband. I said, because I've done homeopathy also, so I was wondering what is happening, what he had eaten during the last 3 days, what extra he had taken during the last 3 days. Then I realized that he had taken this statin. So I took my husband and they tested diabetes with the needle, and they found diabetes. That was due to criminal gang who gave the diabetes in my husband. And I've been used, I'm used, this is not nice. I've been used. I am the one who gave TB to my husband. I'm the one who gave heart attack to my husband. I'm the one who gave, addition to my husband, because if I had not given him TB, he won't have all this. I'm the one who gave diabetes. It's Mr. Hooper causing everything. Then this is also done. So set your record straight. Then hypertension is something I can tell you. After I've read a lot of literature on all these weapon of mass destruction, this activity called as to murder people by using Saddam Hussein technique, the Saddam Hussein killed many Kurds with radiation, and Lord Archer did hard work to raise several million pounds for those ill-fated people. English race does the same crime themselves, and they're trying. In Germany, Hitler wanted to please the German race by murdering Jews. In England, a Hooper gang want to murder Singhs to please the Queen. It doesn't work like that. So I'm trying to tell you, Mr. Dudley and me, we were both bombarded by Mr. Hooper with radiation, not because he is unable to use me. My own teeth were lost in 77, and my own English bosses said, we hate Mr. Hooper. I said, why do you hate Mr. Hooper? We hate him for what he does to people. I said, what does he do to people? There's a lot going on in his house, telepathy, and I'm not going to say, telepathy, and what was very, very cheap, And I said to myself, oh my God, what am I involved? Oh bloody hell, what am I involved in this? This is civil service with Mr. Hooper, Okay, I'm not going to go back to that. Hypertension was given by artificial means, but let's forget about it. Okay, then diabetes was given by this newspaper article. Then come diagnosis of epilepsy. That's also, I'm going to tell you, this epilepsy is totally wrong. Here, things are wrong here with this Mr. Dedi. I'm going to say Dr. Dedi, because Mr. Muster, it doesn't get on my tongue. Dr. Dedi is trying to forget about TB. Is written nothing there about TB. His first line should be a heart attack. Second should be heart attack, and second line should be TB he should say, when a heart attack took place, TB was diagnosed same time, same week, same month, like that. Then he should say, he discharged without angiogram. As a result, Mr. Dudley had another heart attack back home in India. Then he should say, pacemaker was fitted in India. Then he should say, Mr. Dudley was again fed to death by the doctors who did nothing the whole 1998, fed him to death until Mrs. Dudley diagnosed the Addison disease myself. I have told you, I read the book and I reached the topic adrenal gland, and I said to my husband, I have done your diagnosis and you need hydrocortisone to stay alive. It's a fatal illness but treatable illness. It's a replacement therapy. You have to have it around every day. So now when my husband's appointment with the consultant came, and I said, all of you have taken 1 year and didn't diagnose, and he is making angry faces at me. He thinks I interfere too much. And I rather talk on behalf of my husband because I know my husband more. And I decided not to look eye to eye with the Englishman because I don't want him to pass threat to me via the eyes. I kept on looking at another person or reading book. I said, according to this book, Mr. Dudley suffering from Addison disease and he need hydrocortisone to get well and stay alive. And the doctor, he was shocked that he should be doing diagnosis and the patient's wife doing diagnosis. And he said, I also think that way. You know, all of you, they were doing nothing. So now he said, yes, I also think. He said, as a matter of fact, I'm going to ring Dr. Sharp and he will see you right now. And then I think he lied, he didn't ring or something, or maybe did wrong phone number, and he then said, he is not answering, but I will speak to him. He will send you a letter. So when we had a letter from Dr. Sharp, who was a partner of Dr. Steer, I took my book with me and I said, according to this book, my husband is suffering from Addison disease. He needs hydrocortisone. So can you give hydrocortisone? He said no. He said no. Hydrocortisone is very dangerous thing. We got to do blood tests. Special. I said, do it right now. He said, no. It's not that easy. We have to admit him and then we do it. It's a special blood test. I said, then admit him right now. His life is in danger. He said, no. Modern national health is not like that. I said, I don't give a damn. We've been paying taxes. Modern national health apply to modern people. We are old people paying money, and we want benefit of our paid money. And he said, no. You will get the letter by post. And they took another 2 months. Can you believe that? You tell these English, do hurry up, they give you 2 months extra. You have to wait. You fight with them, they make sure they take a full revenge for open confrontation to them. That's called as white snobbery. This is our country, we will do anything you like. This is not human, you know. Okay? Because I'm a religious also, teacher also, I've suffered a lot of racism, and I don't think you people should be racist. A man died, and or all this medical report is a cooked up report. So make your record straight. 2 more months were wasted. They had no mercy on Mabi. He had 1 ounce energy left. Then blood test was done. They care. I kept Mabi there. I sat with him, and we came, and then they took another time 1 month. They said, somebody rang. Your husband suffering from Addison. There is nothing to laugh about. If somebody is suffering from illnesses, you don't simply laugh. Okay. And he said, you go to GP and take hydrocortisone from it. And you got to give 30 milligrams, 20 in the morning, 10 in the evening, or something like that. So we did it. And 30 milligram was in one go was wrong. They should have given from 20 milligram, then proceeded. You know, then my husband grew was 6 stone with a very thin face. I got a photograph to prove. He looked like Victoria Beckham face. You can see the lips more than the mouth is so thin. In India, back on India, we say my husband looked like a baby birdie, newly hatched baby birdie. They have a wide yellow lined mouth, very small face. I have a photograph, I will show it to you. Photograph top, said Muhammad Fayed. Okay, so that was due to what doctors did in 92. They ignored the presence of sodium, potassium, adrenal gland need for hydrocortisone, adenosine diagnosed there. I diagnosed them. So I diagnosed all these illnesses. So hypertension was something to do with radiation, then diabetes something to do with the criminal gang, then diagnosis of epilepsy. Now this Mr. Dedi, Dr. Dedi forgot TB there, and he forgot heart attack in India there, then he forgot a stroke on 28th January 2010. So he can't be perfect medical expert. So he got to do what I tell him to do. I'm only going to tell him what is right. I'm not going to tell him become a criminal and write criminal report. I'm too godly to do those kind of criminal things. If my husband had died due to natural causes, I would have said he died of natural causes. If he had died of this seizure in my house while I'm reviving, and that I would still said Mr. Uppa killed him, because he was not getting seizure due to natural causes. Okay, so I'm going to try to tell all of you, diagnosis of epilepsy is a wrong quotation entry. He should say first stroke on 28th January 2010. And instead of writing that, he should say, Mrs. Dudley said to us, Mr. Dudley fell ill on the evening of 27. He was feeling dizzy. He was feeling vomiting, and I took him to called ambulance and took him to hospital. When I reached there was a European doctor, and she said he's suffering from very high BP. We don't know why he's suffering from very high BP, and his eyes are going this way, that way, this way, that way, this way. Why he's rolling his eyelid? I said, call 999. He's been controlled. My husband is controlled by criminal gang. His name is Mr. Uppa. She said, what? I said, that's what I'm trying to tell you. It's called as weapon of mass destruction, a branch of a remote control brain technology. And as a result, his eyes are going this way, this way, this way, and creating a friction between the brain cells and creating high tension. And she said, I'm not going to call 999. And I didn't have any mobile or all that. I was helpless. I said, also give him aspirin to bring his BP down, because my husband's relative's wife is GP. She got 2 surgery, and she said that if the BP is high, you must have aspirin, 2-3 doses of aspirin often, so that your BP is low. Excuse me, stop.